Welcome again to Bahamian Mathematics. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share to see more videos just like this one. In today's video, we will be writing direct proportions. We will look at what happens when two ratios are equal. Let's have a look. First, let's review ratio. We know ratio as when we compare two or more quantities. And so if we wanted to compare an apple to two oranges, we would say this is the ratio of 1/2. And we read that as 1:2. And we can write this with the word 2, 1:2. We can also write this with a colon in between, which also means 1:2. This is a ratio when we compare one thing to another. So let's look at what happens when we multiply the numerator and the denominator in the ratio, written like this, by 2. We can read this as 1:2, 1/2. If we multiply 1 by 2, we get 2. And if we multiply the denominator by 2, we get 4. And so we started off with 1/2, we multiply the numerator and the denominator both by 2, and we end up with 2/4. And if we notice, 1/2 is the same as 2/4. 1/2 is equal to 2/4. So these two ratios are equal, and when this happens, we call it a proportion. Let's look again at 1/2 equals 2/4, or 1:2 equals 2:4. To check to make sure that these two ratios are equal and they form a proportion, we can multiply the diagonals. And so if we take 1 and 4 and we multiply 1 times 4, that gives us 4. And then if we take the 2 and the 2 and we multiply them together, 2 times 2 is also 4. And because 4 equals 4, because when we multiply the diagonals and they give us the same number, we know this is confirmation that this is in fact a proportion and the two ratios are equal. So let's look again at 1/2 is equal to 2/4. 1:2 equals 2:4. And let's look at this in terms of pencil sharpeners and pencils. 1:2 means for every one sharpener, there are two pencils. Here's my one sharpener and my two pencils. 2/4 is the same ratio as 1/2, means that if we had two pencil sharpeners, we would have 4 pencils. You can clearly see at the top, one sharpener to two pencils. On the bottom, one sharpener and two pencils. Altogether, we have 2 sharpeners and 4 pencils. Let's check to see whether these two ratios are equal and thus form a proportion. We again multiply the diagonals to make sure, and we multiply 1 times 5 and we get 5. And we check the other diagonal, 2 times 3 is 6, and we know 5 doesn't equal 6, and so therefore this is not a proportion. The two ratios are not equal. Let's dive a little deeper into direct proportion. This really means that as one value increases, another value will also increase. And so if we had 6 apples that cost $3, if we had 12 apples, we would expect it to cost more money than $3, $6 in this case, and even more apples, 18 apples, cost $9. And we can clearly see that as the apples increase, the number of apples increases, the cost also increases. This is direct proportion. Similarly, as one value decreases, another value also decreases. This is direct proportion as well. And so if we imagine in 4 years there are 48 months, if we reduce the years to 2 years, that's 24 months. And if we decrease the years to 1 year, we know that's 12 months. We can see that as the years decreases, as the number of years decreases, the number of months also decreases. This is direct proportion. Here's an example using a cake. In this cake, we have to use 2 cups of sugar and 3 eggs. The ratio of sugar to eggs is 2:3. If we wanted to bake 2 cakes, we would need another 2 cups of sugar and another 3 eggs. And so 2 cakes means we need to multiply the sugar by 2, which gives us 4, and the eggs by 2, which gives us 6. And you can see that we have 4 cups of sugar, 6 eggs, and in the two ratios, you can see that 2/3 equals 4/6. This is direct proportion. Let's take a look at what happens if we need to find a missing value in a proportion. Again, we'll use the sugar and the eggs, 2 to 3, and we'll make that equal to 8 over a missing value. And so if we had this proportion, what would be the value where the question mark is for the number of eggs? Well, here are the steps. You need to look at the two numerators, in this case first, the 2 and the 8, and ask yourself, can you multiply or divide the first number to give you the second number? And if you can, you need to determine what number that is to give you the second number. So we know in order to go from 2 to 8, we need to multiply by 4. 2 times 4 gives us 8. And the last step says use the same operation to find the missing denominator. So since we multiplied the numerator by 4, we multiply the denominator by 4. 3 times 4 gives us 12, and now our proportion is complete. Let's take a look at another one. If we had 6 over 4 is equal to 3 over what? What number would be where the question mark is? Again, let's go over the steps, look at the two numerators, and determine, can you multiply or divide the first number to give you the second? What can we do to 6 to give us 3 by multiplying or dividing? And so we determine what number that is, and we know that 6 divided by 2 is 3. And we use this same operation to find the missing denominator. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And so we have a proportion of 6 over 4 is equal to 3 over 2. And it is that simple. Let's look at what happens when the missing value is in the numerator. 3 to 4 is equal to what number to 20? The steps again, we look at the two denominators this time because we have the two denominators listed, the 4 and the 20. And we ask, can we multiply or divide the first number to give me the second number? And if we can, we determine what that number is. Well, I know 4 times 5 is 20, and we use the same operation to find the missing numerator. So 3 times 5 is 15. And we have a direct proportion. 3 to 4 is equal to 15 to 20. One more. 24 to 21 is equal to what to 7? Again, the steps, look at the two denominators because we have those. 21 and 7. Can I multiply or divide 21 by something to give me 7? I need to determine what that is. I know 21 divided by 3 is 7. And so we use the same operation to find the missing numerator. 24 divided by 3 is 8. And our proportion is 24 over 21 equals 8 to 7. And now you should be able to do this. And now it's quiz time. Do the two ratios below form a proportion? Time's up. The answer is, we can check the diagonals to see if they form a proportion or not. 2 times 7 is 14. And 3 times 5 is 15. 14 isn't equal to 15, and so these ratios do not form a proportion. Number 2. Do the two ratios form a proportion? Time's up. Let's check. 3 times 10 is 30. And 2 times 15 is 30. Because 30 equals 30, this forms a proportion. Yes. Number 3. Find the missing value in the proportion. Time's up. The answer is 30. 1 times 6 gives us 6, and so 5 times 6 is 30. Question 4. Find the missing value in the proportion. Time's up. The answer is 5. 12 divided by 2 is 6, and so 10 divided by 2 is 5. And the last question. Find the missing value in the proportion. Time's up. The answer, 24. 8 times 2 is 16, so 12 times 2 is 24. And now you've solved the mystery of writing direct proportions. Well done.